Hello everyone and welcome back to game week 1 of the 25-26 Slater Gordon Premiership, where you join myself, Ryan Sipple, alongside Dean Williams for Teesside against GBG Knights. It's been a brilliant opening day of action so far, full of goals, drama and top quality Powerchair football, and this one should be no different. Reigning champions Teesside are back in action after a flying start earlier today, sweeping aside West Bromwich Albion Throssels with a 7-0 victory. They looked sharp, ruthless, and every bit like a team ready to defend their crown. Their opponents, GBG Knights, will be hopeful to bounce back from their opening 2-0 defeat to Newcastle United Foundation. They showed real moments of promise, particularly in the build-up, but they'll need to find another gear here against one of the league's most complete sides. Alongside our fantastic sponsorship from Slater and Gordon, all National League streams and the 2-on-1 Powerchair Football podcast are powered by MK Battery. How are you, Dean?
Oh, very good, Ryan. Just listening to that about Teesside, what a flying start. And I'm pretty sure they'll be clocking in and trying to watch the streams and or listen the best they can from climbs quite far away. But ultimately, do they need Greg Baxter back? We must say that, surely.
Well, I need to say that I've just received a message from Mr. Baxter that says he will now be present for tomorrow's round of fixtures due to a medical emergency on the cruise ship that he is aboard. So whether or not he's winding me up or he will be present, I don't fully know. But a little bit of intrigue and to add to the mix.
Oh, that is a surprise.
But irrelevant of that, Teesside were absolutely sensational this morning. We've come off the back of a really professional performance from West Bromwich Albion Throssels. They were so well organised defensively and never looked under any real threat of conceding. Whereby Teesside, we know the quality they possess, but to put 7 past them, it shows the levels to this division, certainly at the top and the bottom. And I said it wasn't about what Throssels did wrong, it's about what Teesside did right. And talk about a real statement of intent, looking to be 2-time Premiership champions.
We're joking aside, Ryan, about the conversation about Greg a few moments ago. Just look at the 4 starters. You know, they have a superb squad, don't they? Started here, Teesside, common to Tyler Reeve, across to Mitch Tinkler. First real fluent passing move. It's come to a corner, which will be taken, I assume, by Ed. Probably something up his sleeve here in terms of the set-piece routine. Let's look.
Yeah, it's a real asset in their arsenal. They are without question the best side at set pieces in the division, in the National League as a whole for that matter. It's clearly something they work on in training, and it bared fruit on several occasions this morning. But to your point, the front 3, enough to put the fear of God in any side worldwide. And they'll be looking to ensure they maintain their levels, stay at the top of the Premiership standings. Not quite sure when the next qualification year for Champions Cup, the Champions League equivalent, is. But they'll want to be in that conversation. If I hadn't already, the squads that line up to start this game: Alistair Hay, Tyler Reeve, Mitch Tinkler and Ed Common for Teesside, Jack Ewins, Kai Shah, Ben Keat and George Holloway for GBG Knights. Good to see Ben Keat over from Australia. Got a glimpse as to his quality at the recent Club World Cup, where he competed with Western Sydney Wanderers, marking his debut in the English National League today.
Congratulations to him. That's some effort, coming over from Australia. Wow.
Committing for all 5 weekends on 5 different occasions, so it's not as if he's staying for the sustained spell. Jack Ewins trying to break the press. Strong battle for the ball between Keat and Reeve. Ben Keat just seems to be everywhere at the moment, desperately trying to prevent Teesside from advancing up the court. He's doing a very effective job at that, it must be said. Tyler Reeve to take. Into Ed Common, once again cut out by Ben Keat. He's going to be the busiest player on this court because Teesside are relentless.
Did you have them as your favourites again, Ryan?
I absolutely did have them as my favourites to be crowned 25-26 champions. I just think the continuity of their squad, the chemistry they've developed, the fact that they haven't observed any transfers in or out, which for some may be seen as a negative. Sometimes teams like to freshen things up, but I see it as a strength, the fact that they've gone with the tried and tested squad that saw them secure last season's crown. And considering certainly Tyler Reeve and Ed Common on the eve of a World Cup in Buenos Aires, they're going to want to hit the heights. That ensures that they take the best possible form into Argentina. Mitch Tinkler's knocking on the door to climb up that England pathway. So all of those elements just make me think that they are the team to beat. We saw Aspire falter slightly. They dropped points against West Bromwich Albion, which is a crazy statement in itself. In years gone by, that has been the 2-horse race which has defined our Premiership seasons, but due to several player transfers, West Brom down the pecking order in terms of the odds for securing the title. Leeds have been pretty ruthless, but yet to really have the same sort of test as Aspire and others. The real matchup will be tomorrow afternoon. Aspire versus Teesside here on Court B. Expect fireworks. Delivered last season, without question, the games of the competition. Ed Common into Tyler Reeve, looking to thread the eye of the needle. So impressed with this defensive organisation of GBG Knights. Whilst they've given away that 2-on-1, Teesside haven't really troubled the defence in the opening 6 minutes. This is a nice opportunity though. Indirect free kick. Tyler Reeve, I suspect, will be looking for Ed Common into a very stubborn structure comprised of Kai Shah and Jack Ewins. Just pulled them out of place ever so slightly, and Mitch Tinkler just cushions it over the line. That's what Teesside do so well, to just draw the defensive players into uncomfortable areas, find those pockets and then pounce, then capitalise. Good opening goal for last season's Young Player of the Season.
An immediate observation is we've seen that so many times, Mitch Tinkler getting on the end of those chances, but I don't know if you just saw that. They've just gone 1-0 up. Tyler Reeve has then just chased the ball, put it straight back on the centre spot. The intention that sits behind Teesside right now is extraordinary.
I think that's a mentality shift we saw at some point last season. They've always been a solid side in the Premiership. but in 24-25 we saw a shift. They established this almost elite mentality, and it's epitomised with that action there. It's never enough. They want to do more. They want to be bigger. They want to be better. And I said earlier when commentating, they're going to have to match, if not exceed, their levels produced in the last campaign if they're going to be two-time champions, because the level around them is increasing. The quality of the division as a whole is improving.
I have a phrase that sums that up beautifully, Ryan, that I was talking to some people about the other day, which is divine discontent. Literally that thirst for it's not enough, we need to be even better.
We see that in the elite players. Another set piece for Teesside. Over to Tyler Reeve, just gets too much height. So Pete Taylor awards what I presume will be a set ball. It's as if it'll be a goal kick. However, as GBG Knights observe, a double substitute. Oscar Smedley and Reese Mallet on for Ben Keat and George Holloway. Jack Ewins, very square that. But they create the space. Oscar Smedley thrust it into action, just snatched at it. You can see the frustration on his face. Whilst I don't think there was any real threat to Alistair Hayes' goal, I think he just snapped at it a little bit too early.
Big chance.
Very big chance. Not necessarily for a goal-scoring opportunity, but just to gain some valuable, rare territory in Teesside's half. I think I would have favoured him holding it up and waiting for some supporting options. Mitch Tinkler into Tyler Reeve. Can't quite get contact. Jack Ewins to take. Just going back to Oscar Smedley, I think we have to apply the context. This is only his second season competing in the National League. Last year in the Championship was his debut. Not only did he play an instrumental role in GBG Knights securing promotion, he came away with the top assist provider for the division, the fantasy team of the season. This is his first taste of Premiership football as Mitch Tinkler doubles Teesside's advantage. It's a brace for the young superstar.
How many did he get in the first game, right? Did he score? I assume he did in the first one.
I think he got 2 in the first game.
Yeah. He's off and ready.
So 11 minutes played. Teesside 2, GBG Knights 0. Teesside definitely having to work for this much harder than they did against Throssels. Head comment out to Mitch Tinkler, just tries to entice Kai Shah in. Head comment. Greenbank lead Sevenoaks by a goal to nil. On court A, and Teesside have found their rhythm now. This time, Mitch Tinkler providing for Ed Common to a reverse of the earlier goals.
They're looking pretty intimidating, aren't they?
It's just been quietly efficient from Teesside. And it's something we mentioned in their first game, that because that lack of availability from the substitutes bench, no Dylan Pearson, no Greg Baxter, they almost have to manage the intensity of this weekend and not overcommit too early. They've got some big fixtures to contest tomorrow, and they're going to want to be as fresh as possible. I don't think people who haven't been exposed to this level of football can quite comprehend the intensity of these weekends, the quick turnarounds of games. So when you have such a thin squad, you just need to steadily go about your business, and that's exactly what they're doing. They came flying out the traps against Throttles, and then the second half, they almost just sat back and invited the pressure, which yielded just as much success because it created pockets on the overloads and the counter-attacks. Oscar Smedley looking to force the ball through that defensive pair into Jack Ewins. They're committing players forward, GBG Knights. They're not sitting on this scoreline. They're trying to create stuff of their own, which is really positive to see. And that sort of mentality, I think, will serve them really well across the entirety of the season. Irrelevant result, irrelevant of the scoreline, they're looking to attack games.
Well, that was probably their trademark last season, wasn't it? In Championship, they scored, I mean, how many goals they scored last season? It's extraordinary.
Yeah, I mean, they were really unlucky not to finish as champions. It was a plus 71 goal difference, 81 goals scored, which an incredible tally, it must be said.
Over 4 a game.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, across the entirety of our National League, that was the most goals scored by a single team. Teesside, their rivals here, finished with 80 goals. So, one behind them. But yeah, very impressive accumulation when you average it out.
Yeah, so that mentality's in there, isn't it? You know, want to be front foot, want to be attacking, be offensive.
Oscar Smedley into Ed Common. Breathe. Tinkler. Good work from Kai Shah just to cut out that option of Ed Common. Tinkler. Reeve just drops back, switches it out to Ed Common. It's a trademark to their game, these big triangle patterns. Into Common, doesn't find Mitch Tinkler. Whistle in the mouth of Pete Taylor. 2-on-1 in favour of Teesside. An indirect free kick.
Spread the ball around very well, don't they? They make you run, work really hard.
Just cushioned off the post. It was a deft touch from Ed Common. Just delicately guiding it goal bound. Had it not been for the right upright, that would have been their fourth. The scary thing is, I don't even think Teesside are out of second gear here. The real test, of course, will come tomorrow, but it will take a monumental effort for someone to dethrone them. Common into the box, slightly too deep for Mitch Tinkler to engage with a shot. Quickly taken by Reeve into Common, looking for that gap. One thing I really liked, which I wonder if we'll see it in the second half. Tyler Reeve adorning the goalkeeper jersey. Alistair Hay taking one of the wide wing positions and then playing a really brave 4-out system as Mitch Tinkler doesn't quite receive. I wonder if they'll go a similar route as was the case in that opener. Alistair Hay, merely a spectator for the action in front of him. I don't think he's had a touch in the 20 minutes we've played.
No, I think that's true.
Regulation 20 played. Common blocked by Kai Shah. Pete Taylor glances at his watch. Very late chance for GBG Knights. I doubt it will yield anything with the whistle in the mouth of the referee. Half time here at the Lee Westwood Sports Centre. Teesside 3, GBG Knights 0. A fantastic performance from the reigning champions of the Premiership. Join myself, Ryan Sipple, and Dean Williams for the second half shortly. Hello everyone and welcome back. Teesside versus GBG Knights. Game week 1 of the 25-26 Slater and Gordon Premiership. Probably, as expected, a dominant first half showing from the reigning champions, who have put down a serious statement in day one. GBG Knights have looked compact, they've looked organised, but it seems an almost impossible task to create anything effective against the champions. They'll pick their battles across the campaign and look to put their energy in games and fixtures that are far more likely to yield a positive outcome. Your assessment of the first half, Dean?
I think they've been fantastic, haven't they, Teesside? It's ominous if you're a player of another club watching that right now. They have certainly started the season exactly how they would have wanted to start it. They look absolutely super sharp, very slick. And what are we up to now? They're already hit double figures for the season in terms of goals. They look superb.
Yeah. I'll bring up the live league standings at the conclusion of the game. But this result would put them top of the table with 6 points and a positive goal difference of +10, certainly, as it currently sits. 2 wins for 2 for Leeds. They've put down their beacon. They've got a nice accumulation, +8 in game day 1. It's shaping up to be a fascinating year as Mitch Tinkler patiently controls that, waits for Oscar Smedley to engage, just looking for that flick. You can tell that he's always considering Ed Common's placement in the centre. Nice angle from Ed Common. Cross ball, but it's too deep for Mitch Tinkler to engage. The power generated by Tyler Reeve. So good, and that is a sensational goal. You run out of superlatives for it. Obviously, Ed Common plays such a crucial role in linking the play with Tyler Reeve. He threaded the eye of the needle on one occasion, and on that second chance, the power, the accuracy, the screen that Ed Common provides for that goal is one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. And Mitch Tinkler, I believe, has his hat-trick.
Yep. And just thinking about what you just said about the screen.
Can I just show you back? Obviously,
it's ridiculous.
People are watching from home will be able to rewind. But if you look at this screen from Ed Common, he opts to engage it.
I know.
And he times his run. He doesn't change the speed of it. He just knows where that ball is going to be.
So if you think about what's just happened there from a quality, so that's right in front of us. So we have a close-up. And when you look at the intensity as to which he goes to the ball, you would absolutely be convinced, would you not, that he's about to have that. And he doesn't. Just extraordinary. I think we'd call that giving somebody the eyes, wouldn't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
Disregard the scoreline. We're trying to update it, but take nothing away from that. Have we seen a goal of the season contender already?
It's a pretty spectacular goal. And Mitch Tinkler at the end of it doing Mitch Tinkler things.
Here's confirmation of that Mitch Tinkler strike. And now he's going to get a fourth. Again, the football, the passing patterns, the proficiency, simply world class from Teesside. There's nothing more really to add. It's just incredible. Tyler Reeve into Ed Common. They just find them gaps in the defence. Mitch Tinkler now on an impressive accumulation of goals. I think that's, what, 6 in the season thus far.
Too early to say. If you finish above Teesside, you've probably won the league.
Yeah, without question for me. Without question, I just think they are the benchmark in the Premiership division. They showed that last season. And they're the team to beat. Reeve into Common. That time read by Jack Ewins. The thing is, you're almost damned if you do, damned if you don't for GBG Knights. If you close one gap and one channel, they'll find a gap. They'll find another gap. And it's the thing that we often reference and talk about with regards to Teesside, most notably players like Ed Common, is the deception that they weave into their game, masking their intentions to create those overloads, create the space and opportunities. I don't know how you coach against that. I don't know how you predict and prevent that from occurring.
So you've got, what's your take on that, right? So you've got brilliant individual players collectively come together and pretty awesome. What's the bit that they're doing that's making the difference?
The reason I have tipped them to be the favourites for the league, and it's a statement that I would put a lot of weight behind, is the continuity, is the fact that they train together, they play together, they know each other's game inside out. And it's something that we referenced on their in their earlier win against Throssels. They don't communicate like a conventional team would in terms of verbal communication. It's like a telepathic understanding. As Mitch Tinkler finds his 5th of the game, they don't talk to each other, they don't shout instructions at each other. It's subtle cues, and that gives nothing away. The opposition have nothing to feed off. And my God, this is turned into an incredibly comprehensive scoreline.
Is that change that you talked about a few moments ago from the first game? That
Yeah, and this is where they're almost more exciting, because Tyler Reeve doesn't sit back as a conservative goalkeeper. He looks to contribute in the opposition's half. But yeah, to your point, I just think there's like a telepathic understanding that they have established through the 2 or 3 years they've had as a collective. Jack Ewins desperately trying to prevent Ed Common from weaving up the court. And when we're talking about individual players, obviously Mitch Tinkler now 5 goals in this game, 7 across the season. Ed Common last year, 26 goals, 25 assists, over 50 goal contributions, is remarkable.
Yeah. It's quite fascinating to watch. I'm not discrediting anybody else involved in Teesside, but it's telepathic between Tyler Reeve and Ed Common.
It is.
It's extraordinary to watch because, like you say, from a verbal communication, there isn't anything happening there. The looks,
nothing.
They know what they're going to do.
They will not utter a word to each other on that court, but yet they have an understanding that is unlike anything in our National League. They communicate with their eyes almost.
Yeah, they do. So I'm watching it now very closely.
Yeah, it's more impressive when you're looking for the communication.
Yeah.
You're looking for the instructions. The only time they talk is when they're appealing referee decisions.
They surely don't do that.
Not very often, because they're never typically on the receiving end of free kicks. They're so well organised. Their 2-on-1 discipline is world leading. "30 minutes played, Teesside 6, GBG Knights 0. To Tyler Reeve. A rare mistake. Invites a bit of pressure from Kai Shah. George Holloway. Jack Ewins. Feinted through by George Holloway. Got Greg Baxter tuning in from his cruise.
What's he said?
I think he's worrying about his place in this team and wondering if he'll be able to force his way back into the conversation with how good they've been without him.
We still miss him though, don't we?
I spent enough time with Greg Baxter over the last few weeks and months, so
okay, Greg,
it's a welcome break.
If you're listening, Greg, I'm missing you. Feel free to comment on YouTube.
Alistair Hay got a goal in their earlier win, looking to add to his tally here, but he's had more touches in the 1 or 2 minutes he's been outfield than the entirety of the time in goal, as Mitch Tinkler looks to locate him across the box, blocked by Jack Ewins. Look at this passing backwards. So confident. And this is what was the case earlier. They're comfortable to invite that press from the opposition and then quickly counter-attack when there's space and pockets in the opposition half. To be careful here. This is such nice football. It really is. You think there's a little bit of jeopardy, and then it turns out it's an intentional move from the likes of Ed Common. Appears to be a really entertaining game on Court A. Greenbank 2, Sevenoaks 1. Mitch Tinkler down to Alistair Hay, flicks back, or certainly the intention to flick back to Mitch Tinkler, didn't quite get the connection.
Just trying to find a bit of heart for GBG Knights, Ryan. I think the first thing I'd say is Teesside, it's not the only time they're going to do this to teams, but it is about, you know, when you first come into that Premiership, can be a baptism of fire, couldn't it? So that confidence, the bits they'll want to retain and get from this in terms of anything they can take forward is really important.
Of course. It has been relentless, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be really important not to be disheartened by this result if you're affiliated to GBG Knights. Securing anything from this would have been near on impossible based on relative form. Nice play once again. Alistair Hay receives 180. Strong play from Tyler Reeve. Ewins. Too close to his captain. 2-on-1 in favour of Teesside. Final 4.5 minutes. Rare communication. This is a very unique approach. They were huddled in together and then they disbanded, went their own directions. Being very innovative with their set pieces, trying to keep the opposition guessing.
I mean, you, as a Spurs fan, right, you know how painful it is to me to say this, but that's Arsenal-esque, isn't it? In terms of all of them clumping together. Very, very set plan. Goodness me.
They've got a catalogue of set pieces, and they use these comprehensive buffers and score lines to then experiment, trial and test. So come the competitive games, more competitive games, they're a little bit sharper in their execution. We always say that the USA are the world leaders at set-piece utilisation. I think Teesside are going to give them a run for their money.
Joe, I was just thinking, you said it earlier on about ultimately the whole piece around qualification for the next Club World Cup. And if it falls that these Teesside would qualify, I'd be fascinated to see how they get on in that. Because they're some team.
Yeah, absolutely they are. Last Champions Cup 2024. If it runs on a 4-year cycle, it'll be 2028. So you would suspect the winners of the 26-27 National League Premiership will qualify. So next season's winners. And then the year following that, the 27-28, I suspect will be qualification for the Club World Cup, the next iteration.
Yeah, sorry, I said Club World Cup, didn't I? I meant Champions League, first and foremost. Yeah, that would prove an interesting test, wouldn't it?
I think they're itching to prove their worth on the continental stage. Or the global stage with the Club World Cup. It's a fantastic competition held in Paris back in June. Whilst our English representatives were unable to secure anything in way of medals, they did impress. First time we've ever seen global club teams come together. Ben Keat, as mentioned, was present with Western Sydney Wanderers.
Are you seriously, 1.5 minutes left, going to ask me for player of the match? How am I supposed to pick that?
Yeah, it's a dilemma we had earlier. The fact that you can give it to any one of the 3 predominant outfield players. I'm still going to push you for an answer.
I've got an answer, but my goodness me, does it include an honourable mention to everybody else? Wow. Let me know when you want it.
I want it now.
Do you? So, if my memory serves me well, Mitch Tinkler's got 5 goals.
He has.
I can't really not give it to someone that's got 5 goals in a game, but you'll know exactly, and anyone's watched this game, they'll know that that was not an easy choice based on the creativity that exists between everyone else that's played for Teesside. Extraordinary performance.
I'm going to take a lot of enjoyment from going back and watching the goals from this game.
Yeah.
That fourth for Mitch Tinkler. Combination Ed Common to Tyler Reeve. Ed Common following it up as a screen and it being squeezed through the gap. Absolutely sensational. There's a gap there. Had Kai Shah attacked it at the first time of asking, with that 4-out system that Teesside are adopting, could have potentially found a consolation. But it will be 2 wins from 2. 13 goals scored, 0 conceded for the champions.
Did we get a response from Greg? No? While we're on the subject of praising people and wonderful people for the Wheelchair Football Association, to my right, you won't be able to see, is off screen, is Nick Woodward. Legend that is. It's his birthday tomorrow.
Is it really?
Happy birthday, Nick Woodward. He's acknowledged by putting his hand in the air. He'll hate me for doing that, but for those that don't know, Nick, extraordinary efforts for a number of years on so many things, culminating his most recent bike ride, not the one with me, which was merely a warm-up.
Late corner, Alistair Hay, dummied by Ed Common, through to Mitch Tinkler, nearly trickles over the line. Not before the full-time whistle has been blown by Pete Taylor. An incredible performance from Teesside, and you will struggle to find a better series of goals than what they scored in that one. Commiserations to GBG Knights. I think there's still positives that they can extract from their performance. And again, it's not what they did wrong, it's what Teesside did right. I said I'd bring up the live league table for your reference, just so you can see what that result does. Disregard the championship at the top. Teesside, 6 points, 13 goals scored. Leeds, Greenbank and Newcastle all match them on points, but it's that incredible accumulation of goals which sees them top the table at the conclusion of this fixture. We've got a few more games today. Aspire, Middlesbrough and West Bromwich Albion against Newcastle United. 3 points for Newcastle United Foundation would see them end game day 1 of game week 1, top of the table. So hope you can join us for that one.